The year is 1592. The world of East Asia stands on a knife edge. Though few know it, for 200 years, the Joseon Dynasty of Korea has known peace. A peace so profound, it has bred complacency. They are the Hermit Kingdom, a land of scholars, poets, and farmers. But across the narrow sea, Japan has known only blood. A century of brutal civil war has just ended. Forged in fire and steel by one man, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, a brilliant, ruthless peasant-turned-warlord Hideyoshi, has unified Japan. But a unified Japan leaves hundreds of thousands of battle-hardened samurai with no wars to fight. So Hideyoshi looks west. His ambition is not merely Korea. His eyes are fixed on the greatest prize of the age, the mighty Ming Empire of China. Hideyoshi sends a chilling message to King Seonjo of Joseon. Make way for our troops to Ming. King Seonjo refuses. The tiger has been denied, and so the tiger bares its fangs. Act 1. The tiger strikes. An armada of over 150,000 Japanese soldiers descends upon the southern port of Busan. The Joseon defenders fight bravely, but they are armed with bows and spears against the tsunami of seasoned veterans wielding firearms, weapons the Koreans have never faced. The invasion is devastatingly fast. In just 20 days, the Japanese army marches from the southern tip of the peninsula to the capital, Hanyang, modern-day Seoul. King Seonjo, the ruler of Joseon, is forced to abandon his people, fleeing north in the dead of night through the pouring rain. What follows is a nightmare of unimaginable scale. The Japanese forces, frustrated by guerrilla resistance and eager to prove their kills, commit unspeakable atrocities. Cities are reduced to ash, entire villages are slaughtered. To prove their valor to Hideyoshi, soldiers begin taking horrific trophies, cutting off the ears and noses of the fallen, packing them in salt, and sending them back to Japan. The land of scholars has become a landscape of hell. The guardian of the sea. On land, Joseon is bleeding. But the sea belongs to a different kind of monster. Or rather, a different kind of hero. Meet Admiral Yi Sun-sen. A man of unparalleled tactical genius, unbreakable discipline, and fierce loyalty. While the king fled, Admiral Yi prepared. He recognized that Japan's massive land army relied entirely on supply chains stretched across the sea. To choke the tiger, he had to cut its throat in the water. Yi's fleet was heavily outnumbered, but he had two immense advantages. The sturdy, flat-bottomed Korean Panoxion ships could rotate freely in the turbulent coastal waters and carry heavy cannons, unlike the frail, V-shaped Japanese transport ships. Second, he had his secret weapon, the turtle ship. Covered in a roof of iron spikes to prevent boarding, rowed by oarsmen safely below deck, and armed with cannons on all sides, it was a terrifying maritime tank. The dragon head at the front fired cannonballs and breathed a toxic smokescreen. In battle after battle, Admiral Yi annihilates the Japanese Navy at the Battle of Hansen Island. He employs a brilliant crane wing formation, enveloping the enemy and blasting them to the bottom of the sea. Without supplies, Hideyoshi's troops on land begin to starve. The tide of the war is turning. By 1593, Emperor Wanli of the Ming Dynasty realizes the threat. If Joseon falls, China is next. The emperor sends a massive army across the Yalu River. The Dragon of China has entered the fray. The combined Ming and Joseon forces push the Japanese back to the southern coast. What followed is a grueling, bloody stalemate. By the year 1596,
A fragile truce is called for months. Diplomats argue over terms of surrender.
Hideyoshi makes outrageous demands, including a Ming princess for his wife, and half of Korea. The Ming emperor laughs him off, offering him a meaningless title instead.
The negotiations of 1596 collapse in spectacular fashion. Hideyoshi's pride is wounded, and in 1597, he orders a second, even more brutal invasion. The war is far from over. Act 3. The Miracle at Myeongnam. Due to political jealousy and false rumors, King Seonjo had temporarily imprisoned his greatest commander, Admiral Yi. Without him, the Korean Navy is utterly decimated. At the Battle of Chilcheoliang, the Japanese are ecstatic. The sea is open. Yi Sun-sin, looking weary but resolute, is released from prison and reinstated. He looks out over a meager handful of surviving ships, reinstated at the Empire's darkest hour. Admiral Yi finds only 13 ships remaining.
The Japanese are sailing toward the capital with a fleet of 133 warships. The king orders Yi to abandon the sea and fight on land. But Yi writes back a legendary reply. "Your Majesty, I still have 12 ships, and as long as I am alive, the enemy will not dare to look down upon us." At the Myeongnam Strait, where the tidal currents run like a howling river, Yi makes his stand, using the violently shifting tides to his advantage. His 13 ships trap and crush the vanguard of the massive Japanese fleet. The enemy loses over 30 ships. Yi loses none. It is one of the greatest military miracles in human history. In 1598, Toyotomi Hideyoshi dies of illness. His final whispered order to his commanders: "Do not let my soldiers become ghosts in a foreign land. Bring them home." As the Japanese attempt a desperate retreat, Admiral Yi and the Ming Navy intercept them at Norian Point. The sea is set ablaze, but in the final moments of this victorious battle, a single Japanese musket ball finds Admiral Yi. Knowing his death might cause his men to falter, his final words are, "The battle is at its height. Beat my war drums. Do not announce my death." The Imjin War lasted 7 agonizing years. It left millions dead, cities burned, and landscapes forever scarred. Japan would retreat into isolation. The Ming Dynasty, bankrupt by the war, would soon fall, but Joseon survived against the might of an unstoppable tiger, a nation of scholars, aided by a dragon and saved by a turtle. Held the line, and at the center of it all remains the immortal spirit of a man who ruled the waves, ensuring that the light of his nation would not be extinguished.